No one at Westbridge High took them seriously. Armin was the kind of guy people forgot existed even while looking straight at him. He sat in the back corner of every class, shoulders slouched and hood up, barely speaking unless called on. His grades were average, his presence invisible. Beside him, always beside him, was Samir. Loud in theory, quiet in practice. Samir had jokes, ideas, and opinions, but none of them ever landed. People talked over him, laughed at him instead of with him. Somewhere along the way, he stopped trying so hard. Together, they were a pair of nobodies. Bro, Samir muttered one afternoon as they sat behind the gym bleachers, skipping their last class. Do you ever feel like we read background characters in someone else's story? Armin shrugged. At least background characters don't get bullied. Samir let out a dry laugh. Fair point. Silence settled between them. The distant sound of a basketball bouncing echoed across the court. The popular kids were playing again. They always were. Imagine, Samir said suddenly, leaning forward, if something just changed. Like, overnight, we wake up, and boom, everything's different. Armin smirked faintly. Yes, sure. Maybe a magic panda shows up and gives us superpowers. Samir blinked. Why a panda? I don't know. Why not? They both laughed, but it was the kind of laugh that faded quickly. Like it didn't fully belong. Neither of them noticed the security guard walking past the far gate, nor the delivery truck stopping briefly near the back fence, nor the large, reinforced crate that was quietly unloaded before the driver sped away. That night, everything changed. Armin couldn't sleep. Something felt wrong. The air in his room was heavier than usual. His window rattled softly, though there was no wind outside. He sat up in bed, rubbing his eyes. Then he heard it. A soft thump. From outside. Frowning, he got up and moved toward the window. He hesitated for a second, then pushed it open. And froze. A panda was sitting on the ledge. Not a cartoon panda. Not a stuffed toy. A real, full-sized panda. Staring directly at him. Armin blinked. The panda blinked back. I am dreaming. Armin whispered. The panda shook its head. No, it said calmly. In perfect, clear human language. You are very much awake. Armin screamed. Across town, Samir was also screaming. 20 minutes later, both boys found themselves sitting in Armin's room, staring at the panda who now sat cross-legged on the floor like it owned the place. Samir pointed a trembling finger. It talked again. Right. You heard it talk. Yes. Armin said flatly. Unfortunately, I am right here. The panda said, mildly offended. And yes, I am speaking. Samir grabbed a pillow and hugged it tightly. This is it. We've lost it. We've finally gone insane. You are not insane. The panda replied. Though your reactions are statistically predictable. Armin narrowed his eyes. Okay. Let us say we're not hallucinating. Then what are you? The panda tilted its head slightly. A visitor. From a place you would not yet understand. Try me. Samir said. No. The panda said simply. You would not. There was a pause. Cool. Samir said. Love that for us. Armin exhaled slowly. Why are you here? The panda's gaze sharpened. Because you too. It said. Have been selected. Samir laughed nervously. Selected? For what? A prank show. For a correction. What? The panda stood up. Despite its bulky form, it moved with surprising grace. Your world, it said, is approaching a point of instability. Small imbalances, small shifts, but they compound. Left unchecked, they lead to collapse. Armin frowned. What does that have to do with us? Everything, the panda said. It raised one paw. A faint glow filled the room. You have been overlooked. It continued. Dismissed. Ignored. But those who are unseen often have the greatest capacity for change. Samir whispered. I don't like where this is going. The panda smiled if a panda could smile. I am here to give you power. The glow intensified. Armin felt at first a pressure in his chest, like something unlocking deep inside him. His vision blurred, then sharpened. Every detail in the room became painfully clear: the grain of the wood, the faint crack in the ceiling, the rhythm of Samir's breathing. Samir gasped. What is happening? Relax, the panda said. Your bodies are adapting. Samir clutched his head. Adapting to what? To possibility. The light burst outward. Then, silence. When Armin opened his eyes, the world had changed. He could hear everything. Not just sounds, patterns, movements, intentions. Samir stood across from him, staring at his own hands. Dude, I feel weird. Armin looked at him and froze. There was something around Samir. A faint shimmer, like energy. Samir, Armin said slowly. Dante, move. Why? Samir raised his hand instinctively. A burst of force shot out, slamming into the wall and leaving a dent. They both stared at it, then at each other. Samir whispered, I just did that. Yes, the panda said calmly. You did. The days that followed were chaos. Armin discovered he could perceive and predict movement, almost like time slowed down around him. He could react before things happened. Dodge, intercept, anticipate. Samir, on the other hand, could manipulate energy. Raw, powerful bursts that responded to his emotions. Bro, Samir said one afternoon, after accidentally launching a trash can across the street. I am basically a human cannon. And I am basically a… What? A human calculator. Armin replied. You re like a ninja or something. I don't want to be a ninja. Too late. At first, they kept it secret. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. It happened during lunch. A fight broke out, nothing unusual. Just another argument escalating. But this time, one of the guys pulled out something sharp. Before anyone could react, Armin moved. To everyone else, it looked like a blur. 1 second he was sitting. The next, he was between them, disarming the attacker with impossible speed. The cafeteria went silent. Samir stood up slowly. Well, that's not good. Within hours, the video was everywhere. Westbridge blur. People called him. And Samir. That came later. The real problem started 3 days after the video. The panda returned. But this time, it wasn't he alone. A figure stood behind it. Tall, covered in a dark, shifting armor that seemed to absorb light. Armin stepped forward. What is that? The panda's expression was serious. A consequence. Samir swallowed. I knew there was a catch. The armored figure spoke. Its voice distorted. Unauthorized interference detected. Armin felt a chill run down his spine. What does that mean? He asked. It means, the panda said quietly, you are no longer unnoticed. The figure raised its hand. The air warped. And suddenly, everything exploded. The battle was unlike anything they could have imagined. Samir fired bursts of energy, each one colliding with invisible barriers around the armored figure. Armin darted around, trying to find an opening, but every move was anticipated. It's predicting us, Samir shouted. Yes, Armin replied, breathing hard. Like I do. The panda watched silently. Your opponent operates on a higher level of perception. It said, you must evolve. Samir snapped. Now would have been a great time to mention that earlier. The armored figure advanced. With a flick of its hand, it sent Samir crashing into a wall. Samir! Armin yelled. He moved faster, pushing himself beyond his limits. For a moment, everything slowed. He could see it. A gap. A tiny, almost invisible delay in the figure's reactions. Armin lunged. His strike connected. The armor cracked. The figure staggered. Samir grinned weakly. That acid. Do that again. Armin shook his head. I don't know if I can. The panda stepped forward. You can, it said, but not alone. Samir looked at Armin. Armin looked at Samir. For the first time, there was no hesitation. Together, Samir said. Armin nodded. Together, Samir focused, channeling everything he had. Energy gathered around him, brighter than ever before. Armin moved, guidings, predicting, alignings. Now, Armin shouted. Samir unleashed everything. A massive wave of energy surged forward, perfectly timed, perfectly aimed. It struck the armored figure. The crack spread, then shattered. The figure collapsed into nothing. Silence. Dust settled. Samir dropped to his knees. Okay. I am officially done for the day. Armin laughed, really laughed for the first time in years. The panda approached them. You have done well, it said. Samir looked up. So, what now? Do we get a medal or something? The panda shook its head. Now, you choose. Choose what? Whether to remain what you were, or become what you could be. Armin glanced at Samir. Samir shrugged. I mean, being a loser was kind of boring. Armin smirked. Yes, it was. The panda nodded. Then your story, it said, has only just begun. Weeks later, Westbridge High was different. Not because of powers, but because of presence. Armin no longer sat in the back. Samir no longer stayed quiet. People noticed them now, not out of fear, but respect. Bro, Samir said one afternoon, leaning back in his chair. We not background characters anymore. Armin smiled slightly. No, he said. We not. Outside, somewhere beyond the city, something else was watching. And this time it was ready.